Good afternoon and welcome to News 9. I'm Nolan Pinto. First up, well, there's a new twist in the ADGP Coffeegate episode. The ADGP, who had tendered his resignation, met the DG and IGP Pachau and withdrew his resignation. In fact, these are the visuals of him reaching the DG and IGP's office based on Rupatunga Road. Now, all this while, he was forcing the government to accept his resignation, basically send it to the central government or the UPSC, Union Public Service Commission. But now all of a sudden, in a change of tact, he wants the government not to accept his resignation. In fact, when the Home Minister was asked about this yesterday, he stated that it's up to him to decide if he wants to take back his resignation. He's free to do so because according to the rules, he does have 90 days time. In fact, let's listen into what the ADGP had to say about this.
ನನ್ನ ಪತ್ನಿಯವರು ಶ್ರೀಮತಿ ಶ್ರೀದೇವಿ ನನ್ನ ರಾಜೀನಾಮೆಯನ್ನು ವಾಪಸ್ ಪಡೆಯಲು ನನ್ನನ್ನು ಕೇಳಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಮತ್ತು ನೀವು ಏನೇ ಕಾನೂನು ಸಮರ ನಡೆಸಿದರೂ ಸೇವೆಯಲ್ಲಿದ್ದು ನೀವು ಮಾಡಿದರೆ ಅನುಕೂಲ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ ಮತ್ತು ಎರಡನೇದು ನೀವು ಸೇವೆಯಲ್ಲಿದ್ದರೆ ನನಗೆ ರಕ್ಷಣೆ ಸಿಗ್ತದೆ ಸೊ ನಿಮಗೂ ರಕ್ಷಣೆ ಸಿಗ್ತದೆ ಸೊ ಆದುದರಿಂದ ನಮ್ಮ ಕುಟುಂಬದ ಹಿತದೃಷ್ಟಿಯಿಂದ ನೀವು ರಾಜೀನಾಮೆಯನ್ನು ಹಿಂಪಡೆಯಿರಿ ಅಂತ ನನಗೆ ಸಲಹೆ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಒತ್ತಾಯ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಸೊ ನನ್ನ ಮನೆಯವರು ನಮ್ಮ ಶ್ರೀಮತಿಯವರಿಗೆ ನಾನು ಅತ್ಯಂತ ಗೌರವ ಕೊಟ್ಟು ಮತ್ತು ಅವರಿಗೆ ಆಗಿರುವ ಮಾನಸಿಕವಾಗಿ ಅವರು ನೊಂದುಕೊಂಡಿದ್ದು ಮತ್ತು ಅವರ ರಕ್ಷಣೆ ಅವರಿಗೆ ಕಡಿಮೆ ಆಗಿದೆ ಅನ್ನೋ ಭಾವನೆ ಬಂದಿದ್ದು ಗಮನದಲ್ಲಿಟ್ಟುಕೊಂಡು ನಾನು ನಿನ್ನೆ ಸಂಜೆ ನನ್ನ ರಾಜೀನಾಮೆಯನ್ನು ವಾಪಸ್ ಪಡೆದು ನಿರ್ಧಾರ ಮಾಡಿ ಪತ್ರವನ್ನು ಮಾನ್ಯ ಡಿಜಿ ಅಂಡ್ ಐಜಿರವರಿಗೆ ಮಾನ್ಯ ಸರ್ಕಾರದ ಮುಖ್ಯ ಕಾರ್ಯದರ್ಶಿಗಳಿಗೆ ನಾನು ಸಲ್ಲಿಸಿದ್ದೇನೆ.
In fact, you heard what he just now said, that it was last night when he actually requested the government to take back his resignation. Now, as he has been transferred to Dharwad, ADGP submitted a plea to Pachau requesting for a posting in the city itself due to his daughter's education.
ನನಗೆ ಸದ್ಯಕ್ಕೆ ಧಾರವಾಡದಲ್ಲಿ ರಿಸರ್ಚ್ ಮತ್ತು ರೀಸ್ಟ್ರಕ್ಚರಿಂಗ್ ಅಡಿಷನಲ್ ಡಿಜಿ ಅಂತ ಹುದ್ದೆಗೆ ನೇಮಕವಾಗಿದ್ದ ಸರ್ಕಾರಿ ಆದೇಶವನ್ನು ನಾನು ನೋಡಿದ್ದೀನಿ. ನನಗೆ ನನ್ನ ಮಕ್ಕಳ ಎಜುಕೇಷನ್ ದೃಷ್ಟಿಯಿಂದ ಬೆಂಗಳೂರಲ್ಲಿ ಇದ್ದರೆ ನನಗೆ ಅನುಕೂಲ ಅಂತ ಕೇಳಿದ್ದೀನಿ. ಸೊ ಈ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ನನ್ನ ಮನವಿಯನ್ನು ಮಾನ್ಯ ಡಿಜಿ ಅವರಿಗೆ ಈಗ ತಿಳಿಸಿದ್ದೀನಿ. ಮಾನ್ಯ ಡಿಜಿ ಅವರು ಏನು ಕ್ರಮ ತಗೋತಾರೋ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಬಿಟ್ಟಿದ್ದು.
In fact, to know more about this, I beg your pardon, I'm joined in by my colleague Nabila. Nabila, is the meeting between the ADGP and the Director General and Inspector General of Police still on?
Right, Nolan, the meeting, Ravindranath is right now at the DG office. We still not aware what has transpired inside the meeting, but yeah, Ravindranath is still inside the office, the meeting and talking with the officials. Now, what is surprising is that Ravindranath, after many days of pleading and literally begging the government and the police department to accept his resignation, has now taken a U-turn and has withdrawn his resignation. He has in fact confirmed with News9 as well that he is doing this only for the benefit of his family. He claims that his family feels threatened and they don't feel safe, and his wife Sridevi has advised him to take back his resignation. He claims that his wife is very concerned about the fact that if he does resign and if the resignation is accepted, then the family and Ravindranath himself will not be safe anymore, and that the investigations could take an ugly turn, and it could be done to malign his image further. Therefore, if he remains in power, if he remains as the additional Director General of Police, then then none of them will be able to manipulate the investigations, is what he believes, which is why he's taken a whole U-turn and has withdrawn his resignation. The resignation, this has been confirmed by the DPAR officials as well, the Department of Personal Welfare and Reforms. They too have accepted that Ravindranath's resignation, the process of being sent to the central government to be accepted, has been stopped. Even KJ George, the Home Minister, had clearly said that if at all Ravindranath wants to take back his resignation, that will definitely be accommodated. Now the fact remains to be seen is that if Ravindranath takes back his resignation, he will be posted in Dharwad. That is what the DG had stated, that he has been transferred to Dharwad as a research and restructuring officer there. Now Ravindranath says that he has looked into the Dharwad proposal. He has pleaded and requested with the DG Pachau also to transfer him, to keep him in Bengaluru and not to transfer him in Dharwad. He gives several reasons to that as well. He says that if he is posted in Dharwad, then he will not be able to come back to Bangalore every now and then to attend all the interrogation conducted by the CBI sleuths. He also says that his child's education is very important to him, and that if he is in Dharwad, he will not be able to do complete justice to his children. So therefore, with regard to all these issues, he's looked at every possible concern of his and gone to DGP Pachau and put down his concerns and requested Pachau to make sure that he is placed and posted in Bengaluru itself and not in Dharwad. So it now remains to be seen what Pachau will, what decision Pachau will make, and Pachau will obviously have to, confide with a lot of senior officials, talk to the Home Minister, and also, the Chief Minister with regard to his resignation being stopped, and also the fact that he must not be posted in Dharwad and that he should be kept in Bengaluru. After this meeting, just a little while, we will be able to understand what the outcome was, Nolan. Besides that, what is surprising is that investigations are underway. The CID sleuths are completely looking at every angle of the case, and what a new revelation has come about. News9 has gotten hold of the FIR copy. In the FIR copy, it clearly states that the complainant clearly states that the ADGP had clicked her pictures between 9:30 and 10:45 a.m. But the photos that were recovered by the CID sleuths show that the pictures were taken between 10:47 a.m. to 10:48 a.m. Now, this is definitely even 2-3 minutes after Ravindranath was pushed inside the cell. After he was jailed, only then the pictures were taken. So this sort of raises, on one hand, it also raises a lot of speculation and doubts within the police department itself, because the phone was in the hands of the sub-inspector at the High Grounds police station. So could it be a conspiracy? Even the CID sleuths are doubtful right now, and they are investigating into the matter thoroughly, Nolan.
Right, Nabila, thank you very much for all that. Now, meanwhile, the DG and IGP Pachau has promised to take up his issue with the government. On the other hand, Dr. Ravindranath has promised to cooperate with the probe. Now, the government has decided to implement the Akrama Sakrama scheme after much dilly-dallying. The scheme will be implemented in the next 3 days. Now, the Urban Development Department had published a special gazette on the 28th of May on this particular matter. Now, some organizations have challenged the implementation of the Akrama Sakrama scheme in the High Court. The government has formulated new guidelines and has also decided to approach the High Court on the 6th of June and seek permission. Now, Bengaluru, in-charge Minister Ramlinga Reddy has expressed hope to implement the scheme in the next 3 days. The government has fixed the fine based on current market price on properties coming under the jurisdiction of the BBMP and also the BDA. Now, the government has in fact allowed for the legalization of illegal sites and also illegal layouts. They have also decided a fee structure for the conversion. Now, under the scheme, violations up to 25% in residential buildings will attract a penalty of 6%. Violations between 25% to 50% in residential buildings will attract a penalty of 8%. Violations up to 12.5% in commercial buildings can be regularized by paying penalty of 20%. Violations between 20% and 25% in commercial buildings will attract a penalty of 35%. Now, layouts formed on revenue lands without changing the land use status could also be regularized under the scheme. Now, for a plot less than 60 square meters in area, 40 rupees per square meter in BBMP limits or 30 in other municipalities can be paid for regularization. A plot of around 60 to 120 square meter area can be regularized by paying 160 per square meter in BBMP limits and 80 per square meter in other municipality. Now, a plot of 120 square meters area and more, 600 rupees per square meter needs to be paid in BBMP limits and 250 in other municipalities. In fact, we did speak to the BBMP commissioner some time ago. This is what he had to tell us.
Yeah, I understand that government is serious about implementing this Sakrama, and they were waiting for the orders from High Court. I understand the High Court is also seemed to have disposed of, but I'm not aware of the decision of the court. But if it is implemented, a lot of people will get benefited by the scheme. Both residential houses and commercial properties will get regularized, and we are looking forward to the implementation of this by the government. This is because it will help us to, of course, not only regularize the people's properties, it will also help us to raise the resources.
Well, moving on, Bhuvaneshwari Nagar slum dwellers have some time in hand before they are, well, mostly evicted. The High Court that had ordered for a stay till tomorrow has directed the Slum Development Board to submit a report. Now, with regard to the ground reality of the flats built near Kudlu, now only after looking into the report, the High Court will decide on its next move. Well, the Bhuvaneshwari Nagar slum dwellers have some time in hand before they are mostly evicted. The High Court that had ordered for a stay till tomorrow has directed the Slum Development Board to submit a report with regard to the ground reality of the flats built near Kudlu. Now, only after looking into the report will the High Court decide on its next move. Now, Railways Minister Sadananda Gowda was welcomed by protests this morning. The protest was carried out by the contract workers who were working for the railways but were terminated from their jobs. The temporary workers requested the railway minister to induct them back to work. But Sadananda Gowda said it was the prerogative of the contractor who had hired them whether to keep them or terminate them from their job.
वो कॉन्ट्रैक्टर करना काम है, हम कुछ नहीं कर सकते हैं. कॉन्ट्रैक्टर आप सबको.
In fact, Railway Minister Sadananda Gowda was welcomed by protest this morning. The protest was carried out by the contract workers who were working for the railways but were terminated from their jobs. The temporary workers requested the Railways Minister to induct them back to work. But DV Sadananda Gowda said it was the prerogative of the contractor who had hired them whether to keep them or terminate them from the job.
मैं उधर बोर्ड में भी बातचीत कर दिया. वो कॉन्ट्रैक्टर करना काम है, हम कुछ नहीं कर सकते हैं.